What's going on, everyone? My name is Carlos Serrano, and you are listening to the Blood, Sweat, and Tears podcast. This is a sports podcast where we dive deep into the life of an athlete, tackling topics on faith, the body, and the mind. In each episode, I will be having a new guest on the show where I will be interviewing them about their sports experiences, along with their personal faith journey. I hope this can be a show that can fill you up with encouragement and insight through the discussions that we will be having here. Now, with that being said, let's get on with the show. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the episode 2 of the Blood, Sweat, and Tears podcast. I'm Carlos Serrano, and I'm joined by my very special guest, Mr. Gary Taylor. Welcome, Gary, to the show.
Thanks, Carlos. Good to be here, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So tell us about yourself, Gary. Just kind of what you do. Just off the bat, if you could just explain what you do.
Well, right now I am currently a minister in the San Diego Church of Christ. I've been doing ministry now for about 24 years. Married.
Nice.
My wife is as well as in the ministry with me. We do ministry together. I have 2 kids, a daughter that's 25 and a son that's 22, and I have 2 grandkids that are twins that are 3 years old. So that's a little bit about me.
Nice. And so as people who may be listening to this show, we talk about sports, and we also talk about just our individual walks with God, and want to try to help people know God and know Jesus in a different way. And this is the interview portion where I interview my guests what their athletic career has been like. And so for you, what is your history with sports? What sports did you play growing up, and just kind of your athletic career? What was that like for you?
Yeah, when I was young, I played a lot of baseball, and that was pretty much the only sport I played, Little League and all that, and was definitely excited about that. When I got to high school, I started playing basketball and running track and playing football. So my freshman year, I did all 3.
Nice.
My sophomore year, I did what did I do? I just did basketball and ran track. And then I went back out for football again my junior and senior year. My junior and senior year, I did just football and ran track. And then from football, I was able to get a athletic scholarship to San Diego State, where I went and played, 4 years out of the 5. I played a redshirt my first year, played the rest. I went there to play defensive back, corner, was my position. So those are the sports I played. Those are sports I played.
Nice. And so what was your experience being like playing on a big Division I college football team? What was that like for you?
Man, it was a blast. Going to these stadiums, many of them, we played teams for a preseason, we played teams like University of Miami. We played them one year. We played UCLA. So, to go to some of those kind of stadiums and kind of big name programs was pretty cool with packed stadiums and
right.
And some of them were even televised on TV, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
But the experience was great, man. I mean, I think the games are great, but more so of just the camaraderie, the friendships that were built, being on the plane together, joking around, being in the hotels together was always great. We had some great victories together. We also had some great defeats together.
Right.
But I feel like the whole experience, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I had a great time in my Division I career.
Nice. Was there any notable stars or football players that you played for that was on the San Diego State team? Anything that people might know? Yeah,
one of the big ones I know everybody knows is Marshall Faulk. He was one of our running backs there at San Diego State. So I had a chance to play with him. He got there maybe 2 years after I was there.
Gotcha.
So I was able to see him have all these records, and see him blossom into an incredible running back in college.
That's crazy.
And obviously seeing him do the great things he did in the NFL, and now in the Hall of Fame, which is
That's
pretty
right,
cool.
yeah.
So him, and there's a couple other guys like Patrick Rowe, who went to the NFL. Who else? Darnay Scott. who went to the NFL as well. He
That
played
name
for the
sounds
Cincinnati.
familiar.
He played for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
He's
Gotcha.
actually from San Diego originally.
Oh, nice.
So played with those two guys. Those are probably the three guys that are pretty familiar with some people.
Nice. Nice. Awesome. And so, amazing to hear about your story with playing for San Diego State. Us being in San Diego right now, it's huge. And so, with that, we're going to shift to more talking about your own individual spiritual walk. Tell us about what your journey was like to be a disciple of Jesus, to following Christ, and even kind of what you're a minister now. So, like, what a big transition from being a football player in San Diego State to being a minister back in San Diego. So it's like, how was your journey like that for?
You know, I grew up going to church. My mom, you know, I was raised by a single mom, so she definitely made it a point to, you know, take us to church, went to Sunday school and all those types of things, which I am very grateful for because
Right.
at least she gave me a foundation of spirituality, of God does exist, the Bible's real, all that type of stuff, which was great.
Yeah.
But as I got older, you know, we didn't go to church very much as I got older. You know, I grew up, I was born in Delaware, moved out to California when I was 12. So by the time I got to California, we didn't go to church very much, really at all.
Gotcha.
And so, but I still had that foundation still. So when I got to college, you know, I was living the, I guess, football dream, playing football, women, you know,
Right.
parties and all that kind of stuff. So obviously I gotten myself in all kind of different trouble. Not enough to get me thrown in jail or anything, but
Amen.
in regards to spirituality, did a lot of, you know, just sin.
Right.
And
course.
it was probably around my junior year is where my ex-girlfriend, who became a, you know, Christian first, reached out to me. We had broken up because she caught me cheating on her. Actually, she was pregnant with our child and caught me cheating on her. And so she was getting reached out to by a young lady in one of her classes, and she started studying the Bible and got baptized. And then she reached out to me. And as we broke up, and she invited me out to church and kept inviting me, I would go from time to time. And then she introduced me to a guy at church one time that is one of my best friends to this day. His name is James Counts, and he really helped me to. He really helped the Bible to be very practical for me. He really helped me to see that this, you know, Christianity is not just a Sunday thing or when you're around other people of like faith, but this has got to be your life. And not only was he teaching me, but I was seeing it in his own life. And so I think that was the thing that kind of drew me in. Plus just a friendship. I feel like he really listened to me. He really took time to answer my questions. He met my friends. He, in some ways, got into my world just to get to know me.
Right.
And that impressed me a lot in a lot of ways. So then he, you know, asked me to study the Bible. I said, yeah. And so we started studying the Bible, and it took a few months, you know,
Right.
but I feel like he really opened my eyes to what it really meant to have a relationship with God. And so we studied, and I got baptized April 22nd, 1993.
Wow.
And been a Christian ever since. For 25 years, been a Christian. So got baptized, got back together with my girlfriend, mother of my child at that time. After about 8 months or so, being a Christian, got back together with her, and our relationship was totally different. Dated purely, got input on our relationship from other people. Got help with obviously a child and how that was going to
Right.
work with two, you know, in a sense, kids in college, and
Yeah.
got help with that. And so that was 8 months, and then maybe about 4 or 5 months after that, we got married. So my
Wow.
wife and I have been married for 25 years now, which is really cool. So that's kind of my journey, man. That's kind of where it's been. And so we got baptized. I got baptized. Going forward a little bit, or back a little bit. Then a guy who was doing one of the ministers in one of the regions of the church that I was a part of asked my wife and I to go into the ministry. He was probably Christians for about a year and a half, 2 years.
Wow.
Christians asked us to go into the ministry, and we were like, sure, you know, we just had
Going
a heart
in
to want
hot.
to serve and give, and obviously you see something in us that you think we could do it, and so we did it. So we went into to leading San Diego State as campus ministers, And the rest is history. We've led campuses, we've led singles, we've, dealt with marrieds, we've done teams, we've kind of done a variety of different ministries within the church over those 24 years that we've been doing ministry.
Wow, yeah, that's an incredible story, and I've heard your story a couple times, and it's still, honestly, still hearing about it, it is like incredible that you guys came out of a situation, and God used that, using those situations. I like how you talked about just from the beginning, your mom setting that foundation for you. I know for me, growing up, we grew up in like a Catholic foundation, and really grateful for that foundation, that God is real, Jesus is real, and even though doctrine is different, really grateful for that.
Right.
And even how you're saying like your friend James Counts, just like almost like what's the word I'm looking for? Just like infiltrating your life,
right?
Just like forcing himself in your life, and
right.
Just seeing the difference of the relationships. That's something I was able to experience first coming in as well, which is awesome. And so with that, so you're a minister, you're a Christian, and you're still a huge fan of sports. And
Yes,
so with those different lenses now, how do you view or approach sports now, being a Christian, being just a follower of Jesus in general? Like, how has that changed for you? You still just like watch it? How's priorities even changed for you in that sense?
Yeah, I still watch it, still love it. The main sports I love is, football and basketball. I kind of watch those. I watched a little bit of baseball. Again, that's just from my childhood. Kind of like watching it, like going to games. And also I like watching track. Track is also kind of a cool thing. But again, the main ones are probably basketball and football. Probably the main ones I like to watch.
Gotcha.
And looking at them now, it's sports can be very, very, inspirational.
Yeah.
Two, to me, it's the whole. I think sports taught me about teamwork, about working together.
Yeah, definitely.
And in a lot of ways, that kind of coincides with Christianity, because Christianity is, in one ways, it's kind of you and God, for sure, but you also need other people.
Yeah.
And God set it up that way. That's why we need the church and be a part of the church and relationships and building those kind of relationships, because, again, we got to help each other to maintain this faith over a long period of time. And so that's the cool thing to me about how sports kind of, I guess, transcends all kind of different lines, even religious lines, because you can gain that sense of, yes, it is a team. Yes, we're in this together. We're trying to achieve a goal.
Yeah.
Obviously, in sports, you're trying to achieve a goal of winning. But in Christianity, we're trying to win a goal of being like Christ, make it to heaven, and so on and so forth. And so I love the team concept of sports. Another sport I think I like too is golf, but this is more of an individual thing, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But more, I just love that team concept. That hey, we're doing something together. We all got these individual moving parts, but these all individual moving parts come together, and you see it sort of blossom on a field or on a court.
Right.
It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that is amazing with sports. If anything, like it for football specifically, it has taught me like teamwork, discipline, all these different types of aspects that honestly, if I didn't play sports, I don't think I would have like learned those type of things. Right. I wasn't much of a fit kid before playing sports, just to be honest, and can sometimes be lazy. But with sports, it really like something I enjoyed.
Right.
At least football. And my dad wanted me to play baseball, and I got good, but it wasn't something I loved. I love it now, like appreciating it being older. But with football, I like loved it, appreciated it.
Right.
I remember the first month of playing football in Pop Warner, I was close to quitting because of how hard it was. But my dad said that you're gonna finish what you started, and that we don't quit when we start something.
Right.
And I'm grateful that he didn't let me quit, because it's a sport that I like grew to be really good at and love, and to this day like just love the sport immensely. And so just the things that sports teaches, I think is really, really special.
Yeah, I liked when you said the discipline part of it because I think that to me has really served to help me in a lot of ways in my Christian walk. Because
Yeah.
there were times I still remember in college because I got baptized. I still had one more year of school left and one more season to play
Right.
in college. And I remember there was a lot of times where I was by myself at the hotel. We were out in maybe Utah or wherever, wherever we were playing that weekend. And I remember I had to be disciplined enough if I was going to maintain this relationship with God. A lot of that had to be on me.
Right.
There's a passage in Philippians 2:12 that says, "Work out your salvation with fear and trembling." It's that sense of, hey, I got to work this out. I'm grateful for the relationships, but this is something I've got to work out just with me and God and my relationship with Him. And so I would get up early. We sometimes would have meetings even at the hotel later on in the morning, so I would get up a little earlier and go out back or find a quiet place at the hotel, and I'd be reading my Bible and praying, and yet I feel like I got that from sports because sports taught me, like discipline. Hey, if you're going to get good at this, you got to discipline yourself to work out and to, do the things I need to do to get better, whether watching film or working on my craft and by myself in the summertime and so on. So I felt like that also transcended over into Christianity because I felt like I had to be disciplined in a lot of ways. And again, it's helped me along the way in my Christian walk.
Yeah, definitely. And even for kind of like more tying into that, for me, like going back to what my dad, making sure that I don't like quit any sports that I start, or at least a season. Like if you start a season, finish it. Then we could talk about if you want to do the sport again.
Right.
I know for me, with my own Christian walk, when things get tough or things get challenging, there's that little like sports discipline in me is like, finish what you started.
Right.
And in this case, it's like an eternity. So it's like, it's this thing of being a disciple of Jesus and like following God and following to be like Jesus. It's like when it gets hard, I can go back to the discipline of like, no, I'm not going to quit.
Right.
I'm not going to quit this.
Yeah.
This is like, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Just like with any sports, with anything, like the hard work, the practice you put in, it's like it all pays off when you really put in the work. And I see it when I do, like when I stick it, and I'm here still.
Right.
So, and I'm just really grateful for this part of sports that has taught me, and I'm able to carry that with my walk with God.
Yep.
Talking about sports news, and in particular, we're a couple days away. Actually, now that I'm actually thinking about it, we're a couple days up to the NFL draft, and so we have some big names that are coming up from this draft. I think first off, obviously the quarterbacks going on right now, and for the quarterbacks, Gary, from what you have been following with the draft, what quarterbacks stand out to you for this upcoming draft?
Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with it too much. It's here and there, but from what I've been hearing a lot, this kid Sam Darnold, who had an amazing workout, I heard from USC, had an amazing workout in the rain.
Yes,
and says that a lot of the scouts were saying they were very impressed with. And he, from what I've heard, he did that purposely. Yeah. To show him that, hey, I can, because obviously living in California, everybody thinks it's sunny, not much rain. Yeah, it's easy to, throw out here. It hardly rains. So I heard he did that purposely to show him, hey, any climate, I can perform, which is pretty cool. And so I've heard of him a lot. If I'm correct. This guy Josh Rosen from UCLA, he's someone said a while ago he was a golf guy. So he's kind of not golf but tennis. That might
really?
be him. Yeah, I think either that's him or Donaldson. I can't remember one of them. was they did tennis a lot growing up and was pretty good at it.
I did not
And they
know
switched
that.
to football and has this, super high, that test they take, the Wonderlic test.
Yeah, I've heard about
scored,
that.
Yeah, they said he scored super high on that, so he's got a lot of intelligence and all that kind of stuff. So those are probably the two quarterbacks I've heard. And I know they got this guy from Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield. They say he may be the first guy taken. They say Cleveland might take him.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. But I don't.
Yeah, which could be a little dicey. He's
Yeah.
not too. He's about 6 foot,
Yeah.
barely pushes 6 foot.
Yeah.
He reminds me of, from what I've seen footage, but he reminds me of a Johnny Manziel a little bit. Likes to runs, tough guy,
Yeah.
and kind of got some confidence about him. He reminds me of him a little bit, so I'm not sure if he's the kind of drop back, set in the pocket quarterback that most NFL guys like. I think if they want, but it seems like they want your last resort to be running. Obviously if it opens up, run and get the first down and so forth. So those are the quarterbacks. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna, if Cleveland is the first pick, which it seems like they are,
Yeah.
they're probably gonna go with that
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I don't know if they should though.
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, you have two at least obvious good candidates between Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also heard that they might even go with Josh Allen for the first round, only because of what they were saying, or at least what I'm hearing is Cleveland's might be a little bit paranoid because they passed on Carson Wentz, like another quarterback from like a small school, and all that, and so they're like almost a little paranoid and like almost PTSD, like, oh, we don't want to make that same mistake last time. When, I mean, I get that, but sometimes when the obvious answer is sometimes in front of you.
Right.
I think Sam Darnold would be a great fit for Cleveland. I
Yeah.
think he can handle the pressure that Cleveland has.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, Cleveland. It wouldn't surprise me if they
Right.
didn't get one of those two top quarterback picks.
Right. And Cleveland, they want to win now, and so you got to think about that. It goes, this is a guy that's going to come and help us to win now. That's a lot of pressure for a guy coming out of college because from what I've heard, the shift from college to the pros is very different. The game really speeds up. I remember coming out of high school and going into college, the game was like, whoa, man, this is a little bit faster. But I heard going to the next level is even faster, and things are more, obviously there's a lot more, what do you call it? Not technique, but I'm not thinking of the word I'm looking for. Anyway, there's just a lot of different nuances to the NFL that with the speed and all that kind of stuff, things come at you fast.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. If I have my choice, I'll probably take one of those other guys, like the guy from SC, Donald, for him. But like you said, the guy from Wyoming, Josh Allen, he's got a big arm.
Yeah, that's his big upside is he has a big arm.
He's got a big arm. So, you're going to get a guy who maybe not as fast. If he needs to run, he can run and slide. That's cool. But he can pass. He's going through his progressions and all of that. He can really read a defense, get to know his offense, get people in the right places and so on. So he might be a better fit, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. But something about with this draft is they're saying that this draft is like one of the most stacked draft with running backs. Like there's a bunch of like solid running backs. They're saying that you could take like a running back in the third or fourth round, and they will be like solid for you. Like they will be like a for sure number one running back. What out of all these running backs? I mean, there's the obvious running back, Saquon Barkley. What do you think about him? Like,
super athletic. I've seen some of his numbers for the combine just blow away.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid's an athlete.
Yeah,
he's a specimen, as they will call him.
Yes.
Is tough, smart. The kid can run. He's also, from what I've heard, just great character kid.
Yeah.
Just very respectful, carries himself well, all of that kind of stuff. So, I think whatever team he goes to, he's going to do great.
Yeah.
I think whoever gets him, they're going to get a great pick.
Yeah.
in a kid like that. The only challenge with that is, you come in top of
Yeah.
the draft, like, you're number one, number two. There's just a lot of pressure put on you.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing, but I think his character can carry him through that for
Right.
sure. But it's just pressure.
No,
People
yeah.
come in paying all
That's-
this money. You're the second pick.
They expect a lot
Yeah,
right off
show
the
us
bat.
what you got. Show us that you're the man. You're the reason why they picked you this high. And so that's one side of it. The other kid, San Diego State, which
Yes.
obviously I'm an alum.
Yes.
Go Aztecs. Rashad Penny.
Yes.
To me, I think he's going to be the steal of the draft.
That's what I'm hearing too.
I've heard third round, but I've heard a little bit he's kind of creeping up.
This isn't San Diego bias too.
Yeah.
This is just like.
I think he's going to be the steal. The kid can play.
Yep.
And week in and week out, the kid stepped up and did some amazing things. Now, some people may go, well, San Diego State,
Yeah.
a Division I, but it's not a Penn State. It's not a these big name schools. But he played some big name people and did a great job. I mean, just the kid is good. And then just like the kid just at Barkley, same thing. He's got character.
Yeah. Great
The
character.
kid's got great, from coaches to his teammates. They
Nothing
go,
but good things.
This kid is rare. They said he's just great character, giving. They said he's the model teammate, really cheering his team on, helping them out. That's just him. If you want me to block, I'll block. Just tell me what you need me to do. He's not concerned about his stats. I want us to win together as a team. And so, to me, man, I think Rashad Penny is going to be the steal of the draft. I think we're going to hear a lot of great things about him.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about him. And I was hearing also things on the radio, like when he got, first off, he got snubbed big time for not being mentioned for, I forgot what the reward is called, but like the running back rewards, like all these, and he wasn't even like nominated, which was crazy. Like, how are you not going to nominate that? He got nominated for like the Heisman, and I mean we know he wasn't going to win the Heisman, but it was a good nod nomination.
Right.
But the fact that he wasn't nominated for like the running backs award, like that's just like crazy to me. Like he wasn't even mentioned at all. But the reason why I mentioned that was his attitude during that was this top of the line professional. There was an interview with his coach that his coach was saying like, man, he had to calm me down because like I was upset for him. Like he was like, it's fine, coach. Like it happens. Like all these different things, and it's like, just his character in itself is like incredible. And,
and that just that just shows the kind of kid he is, man.
Yeah.
It just really shows, and that's why I said I think he's going to do great things in the NFL. He's going to be that. Again, one, that steal, but two, people are going to be like, this guy right here was meant for the NFL, meant for this position. I think he's going to do great things.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for that. I'm excited whoever team is going to pick him up. I'm hearing that the Chargers might pick him up, which would be interesting.
Yes.
Because they're definitely not in San Diego anymore. It's like they're taking another thing away from San Diego.
Yeah, that's true. That's a whole other topic we can talk about for days on end. But so again, I think whatever team he goes to is going to be great.
Definitely be solid.
Hopefully, it'll be the right system for him, and he can get a chance to really develop in a lot of ways. So I think he's going to be good. Yeah,
and again, this draft for running backs is just stacked. There's I know Georgia has 2 running backs that are solid. That can be like. You could pick either of those running backs. Right. They're solid. But I'm excited for this draft. Who do you think out of this draft is gonna like get an advantage with the picks that they're gonna get? Who do you think will benefit the most from this draft?
As far as teams?
Yes, as far as NFL teams.
It's a good question. I'm not sure. I guess it all depends on what the team needs and if they can get what they need. Running back is always good, but to me, you got to get a great quarterback. Right. That's going to be key. And so, you got a few teams that guys are, they got some wear and tear on them. Giants, Eli Manning, he's getting up there in age, and everybody knows, the question is, okay, who's going to back up Brady? I mean, he's in his 40s now, and they're saying, I read something recently said, that I think his agent said that he is going to play in 2018. Like, okay,
That's crazy.
we'll see.
That
But again, okay, who's after that?
yeah,
And so I think the Patriots are probably looking, going, we got to find that guy that can start developing and get to know that system
yeah,
to be able to step in when he's done, and then they can kind of keep that train running. So I think, yeah, I guess it all depends, man, on what a team needs.
yeah,
Cleveland, again, to me, for them, since they had the first pick, getting the quarterback is going to be key.
yeah,
That's going to be super key, and the right quarterback.
yeah,
That he's going to fit their system. Because you can get a quarterback and he might be good in a certain system, but your system may not fit his skill set.
yeah. That's true.
And then he comes in and people are like, oh, he's a bust. And sometimes you go, yeah, sometimes legitimately people are busts.
Yeah.
They just weren't able to make that transition into the NFL. But sometimes sometimes that system just didn't fit him.
Yeah,
It's just not the right system.
yeah. I could actually think of like Drew Brees. Like
Exactly, yeah.
he wasn't necessarily a bust at all in San Diego with the
No.
Chargers. Like he was really good. But when he went with the Saints, they took him to a whole nother level.
Right.
And I think because he's with the Saints,
Right.
and he just became so much better.
Right.
With the system, the coaching, and
Right.
I think that was like one great example of like, a career being resurrected
Yeah.
by another team, which you don't
Right.
really see a lot with quarterbacks. I know Michael Vick when he had his own thing. I mean, he was great,
Yeah.
like again for his different thing. But when he got picked up by Philadelphia, it was almost like a different type of level. Like he
Right.
became more of a pocket passer.
Yep.
All these different type of things. So it's definitely about the system for sure. But continuing on with the draft, there is a very special one.
Yes.
So again, each episode, I like to talk about an inspirational athlete of the episode, and there's a specific player that's going to be on the draft, and is Shaquem Griffin. I think I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
Linebacker for University of Central Florida. This kid's story is incredible. He only has one hand, and he's just been dominant, just as a football player, as an athlete in general. Just to geek out with some statistics, in 2016 he recorded like 11 sacks, and he was voted the Conference Defensive Player of the Year for that year. And his combine is very impressive as well. He had like a
Yes.
prosthetic hand in order to do a bench. He did 20 reps of like
225,
225. His 40s is really impressive as well. Like this he's an athlete for sure. And just his story in itself is just inspirational. How it all started with his hand. He was born with like this thing, if I could pronounce it right, amniotic band syndrome.
Right.
Pretty much like when during development in the womb,
Right.
like some tissue just got wrapped
around his hand.
his
Yeah.
hand,
Heard
and just
about
cut
that.
off circulation,
Right.
and it ended up becoming like his hand not fully developed, an extremely painful thing. So they ended up having to surgically remove his hand, and what led to that was when he was 4, he was caught found in the middle of the night trying to cut off his fingers and his
Right.
hand, which is very intense. And
Yes.
his mom just like, "What are you doing?" And he's just saying, I don't want this pain anymore." So they take him, and now he's just an incredible inspirational story. I want to get your thoughts of this man's story.
I mean, his story alone, like you said, is just inspirational. And I was listening to ESPN the other day, and they said, with the combine and all that kind of stuff, statistics and the measurements and all that kind of stuff, which is good, just great. Okay, the 40s and the 225 and the
Yeah.
vertical and all the other stuff that they do. But one analyst said, what people really need to look for is he a football player? Because you may have these blowaway numbers statistically, because some people just can test good at that. That's
That's real.
That's
Yeah,
their makeup.
definitely.
But how are they on the field? And this kid right here, from what I've seen, he's a football player.
Yep.
He's just a hard-nosed, great football player. And those are the kind of guys that go to the NFL, maybe in the later rounds, but people start hearing about them. They blossom. They bloom.
Yeah.
Because they're just flat out football players. They just love the game of football and they just play it.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those kind of guys that this Griffin kid can come in, even though he may not get drafted high, which I think he should.
Yeah, definitely.
Just by looking at his film. And again, and again, sometimes it goes to the school they go to, because obviously UCF is not a super huge school, but they play some good people.
Yeah.
And they always go, well, it's competition, and I'm going, a football player is a football player. Whether
Yeah.
he's got his level of competition is at his level, upper or lower, a football player is just going to be a football player, no matter what level of competition he plays against. I'm just a football player, man. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And again, I just think he's that type of kid that I want to play.
Yeah.
Just it's one of those like, hey, coach, just give me a shot.
Yeah.
Hey, just give me a shot. I'll show you what I can do. And I believe the team that takes a chance on him, again, just like Rashad Penning, they're going to get a steal.
Yeah, he's another one of those steals for sure.
Right. Whether that's at linebacker, I know they may thinking about a DB, special teams. He is going to be a kid that people are going to be talking about for a long time. Like, that guy was a steal.
Yes.
And look at what he blossomed into.
Yeah.
I think he's one of those kind of guys. His story is inspirational. Just kind of the stuff he went through with obviously his hand and all of that, but then to not allow that to hold him back or be a hindrance, especially in the game of football, that could be, but he's like, again, even with that, it just shows you this kid's a football player.
Yeah.
He just wants to play football and loves it. So I just like him. I like the story.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, like him. So I think he's going to do good things.
Yeah, I'm excited who's going to pick him up. So even a side note, last college football season, UCF went undefeated, and so it's like they also kind of got like snubbed from like the college playoffs and all that
competition.
And I think they probably given them a chance or just mention them at least. But one thing that was kind of funny, completely side note, the school ended up making their own rings because they went undefeated. Just like, that's fine. You guys aren't going to mention us. We're undefeated. That means something.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and it all goes into that whole bracketing stuff and computer stuff, and it's part of the computer analyzing is level of competition and all of that. And so they look at their schedules, who had the tougher schedules. Yeah. I get it. Somewhat that makes sense. But again, team goes undefeated. You're still playing football.
Yeah.
Now, if they probably had a little bit more competition, no one would know.
No.
But again, it's one of those things where, get them into the playoffs and let's see what they got.
Yeah.
And they could have surprised some people.
They could have
with what they got. So, but again, with that, I don't think you hold back. Again, a kid like Griffin.
No.
Because he's a football player.
Yeah.
And don't, it's the level of competition. Yeah, he might be a third round or whatever. The kid can just play. Yeah. And his stats are probably just as good as any of these other big name guys from these big name schools. Again, I think, as I said before, this kid's going to be a steal. He's going to be a great football player.
Yeah, what an incredible story.
Yes,
yeah,
really
I'm excited for this draft. Football season can't come any sooner. But good thing we still have playoff basketball going on. But that will be for another episode to talk about. episode now. And so the topic for the episode is the word failure. And not the most exciting topic to talk about.
No, it's not.
But Gary, for you, when you think of the word failure, what comes to your mind?
Fear.
Mm.
Because no one likes to fail.
Right.
Failure is a very tough thing, especially when you put your heart into something and it doesn't turn out the way that you had planned.
Right.
There is a sense of fear. There's a sense of, okay, what happens now?
Yeah.
That failed, and it also kind of can create a sense of, do I want to risk something else
Right.
again? Because man, this stung a
Yeah.
little bit. So that's the first word that comes to mind: fear. And it'd be kind of that fear of moving, fear of risking something again, fear of that fear of the unknown after this. Okay, what now?
Right.
Kind of a thing. That's what comes to mind for me.
Right. Yeah. I know for me, like, I connect fear and failure just because I could tend to. In my introduction episode, I talk about fear and how that has kind of held me back in a lot of ways.
Right.
And even just the fear to fail is like hard for me. Like to like, okay, I don't like failing. I don't like looking like I messed up in something.
Yeah.
So I would rather just like sometimes
Right.
retract back.
Right. Yeah, and I think for me, it's it's somewhat similar in a sense that fear to fail, because for me, you don't want people to look at you now. Oh, this guy. Is he the right guy for this job? I mean, did we make a mistake in choosing him? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's sometimes for me, the fear can be also people and how
yeah.
people view this failure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that came to mind when you were talking for me.
Yeah, that's the same thing with me as well. And so, with the topic of fear, for you, like being in sports and doing all the sports that you've done, how are you able to deal with failure in sports, like whether it's losing or whether it's not meeting up to certain expectations in sports? What was that like for you, and how did you deal with it?
Yeah, that was a tough one. I remember distinctly a moment when I had failure. We were actually playing a game. It was called the WAC, Western Athletic Conference back then, the WAC.
Oh,
Not that it was WAC, but it was just called the WAC Conference, WAC.
that's funny.
So we were in the championship game against Fresno State.
Oh wow.
And we were winning in a lot of ways. And it came down to almost their last drive to see, who was going to win. And sure enough, I was covering this receiver, and he ran right to the corner of the end zone. And by the time I turned, the ball was kind of in the air, so I kind of got my hand up, and he caught it.
Oh.
And then I thought his feet came in out of bounds, but they were in.
Oh wow.
And so he fell and I fell, and I seen the ref throw his hands up, and for the most part, that was the game. And so, dude, that was tough on me, man. I remember sitting on the sidelines, just kind of thinking, man, what in the world has happened here, man? This is, it was tough. So it took me a few days to get over that. It took me a little while. Different, coaches talked to me, friends talked to me. After a while, I just, kind of said, okay, it's not the end of the world. It's time to kind of move forward with life. But that one stung. That was a hard one.
Of course.
That was a hard failure to get through. And so yeah, so that was a tough one. But, it did teach me. It did teach me something. One, that life is full of failures. Some failures are bigger than others. But now I'm being on more of a spiritual side of it, that those failures are really designed for growth.
Right.
To mature you, to allow you to experience that, to go, okay, I won't do that again, or what did I learn from that? What are some things that I learned? Not necessarily so I won't do that again, but so that I can mature from this failing opportunity that just happened. That's what I feel like I've learned through that failure, and obviously there's others along the way, but that one in sports particularly stuck out to me, and realizing that even now, even as a minister, there's certain things that I've launched off into that just didn't work out,
Right.
and I've had to sort of step back now and go, okay, what did I learn? What did I see? What would I do different about that? And so really using it now more as an opportunity for me to grow in my reliance on God, grow in my understanding that, hey, failure is not the end, that it's not. It's just, okay, at least you took a risk. It didn't work. Okay, but okay, that's fine. That's a part of life. That's a part of as far as what I do, ministry.
Right.
Everything is not going to work, and there are certain parts of ministry. I think all parts of ministry that there are things that are uncertain.
Yeah.
And so you're somewhat making your best guess to go, yeah, I think this is, prayed about it, thought about it. Okay, I feel like the best direction we should go, and let's go forward. And you get all your ducks together, and you communicate it to people, and it's clear and all that. But again, there's still that uncertainty of it working out, and I've experienced that. Where you go, that's uncertain, but hey, let's do it. At the end of it all, I didn't turn out the way that I thought it would.
Yeah.
And other people said it and said you could have did this different and so on. So So I think that's to me how I've sort of connected it spiritually, is where God has over the years taught me, hey, failure is not the end. It's just a part of maturing and growing.
Right, definitely, and you kind of, which is funny, you kind of jumped into like my next question, which is totally good.
All right.
Like with failure, like I know there's this negative connotation, and in some cases, like failure is very hard.
Yeah.
With what comes with failure, there are some important aspects as well. And I wanted to ask you, like for you, like what do you feel like are some important things about failure, whether it's with sports, whether it's with a relationship with God and being a Christian?
Right.
What are some important aspects that we can't really ignore that comes with failure?
Well, one, I think you can't ignore the emotional side of it. That it does, touch some emotional parts of you. It also reveals things about you. It reveals that, maybe reveals weaknesses.
Right.
It reveals maybe you're not relying on God enough. That you sense of wanting to control things where you can't really control that. The uncertain things I just talked about. You can't control that. You just got to trust God and rely on God and pray and do the best you can with what you're launching off to do. I think there's a quote I heard from a movie I just seen recently, and this was a Winston Churchill quote that says this. It says, "Success is the ability to go from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm." And that quote stuck with me because I go, that's hard to stay enthusiastic when you fail.
Yeah.
It's hard to go, okay, let me pick myself up and dust myself off, but keep that enthusiasm, keep that excitement, and go, okay, what's next? Okay, what do I do next? What risks do I want to launch off to? Obviously, after I've learned and seen some things, what are some other risks? Because again, as I said before, that could be one of the things that holds people back the most is, okay, once I failed, do I want to take a risk again?
Yeah.
Do I want to, because if I do that risk again, what if I fail again?
Yeah.
You might.
Yeah.
You might. But to me, it seems like this quote by Winston Churchill is stating that, hey, yeah, you might fail again, but the key is not losing your enthusiasm, because and to me, that enthusiasm comes from, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm maturing, I'm getting more wisdom, obviously, through these failings that I'm experiencing. And so,
right.
And so that's what I think. Hopefully that answered your question.
No, yeah, no, that does. I know for me, just the concept of failure is just very hard, and you're right with the emotional stuff. Is like, especially when you sometimes feel like you did put a lot of work into it,
Right.
and there's just like it doesn't pan out to anything, to what you expect.
Right.
whether it's with sports, whether it's with ministry, or just your individual walk with God. Which I know for me can tend to hold me back. And there's this thing, I'm sure it's a quote, but it's just something I've just been really trying to tell myself recently. The difference between like failure and regret. And I keep telling myself, like, would I rather want to live with failure or with regret? And I look at those two things, and like, I look at failure and I look at I can always learn from my failures, because there's always something to learn from it.
Right.
But with regret, there's really nothing you can learn from regret.
Right.
It's just that I wish I could have done this.
good
I should
point.
have done this.
Right.
I could have done this. It's more of just like what ifs. When with failures, you can learn from that. It's like, okay, yes, I could have done this, but I can take that and learn from it.
Right.
Rather than regretting not taking an opportunity or making the most out of certain things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's that's so true. I mean, even you think as you were talking, I was thinking about different guys in the Bible who probably had their share of failures.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest ones was Peter.
Yeah.
Peter had a huge failure. He basically denied Jesus.
Yeah.
And his best friend, the guy who taught him, the guy he walked with, the guy who he knew that loved him and cared for him, even though he had all these weaknesses and all this stuff that that he had to deal with in his own life. And here's a pivotal point in his life where he could have stood up and like, yes, I know him, but he didn't. He's 3 times says, I don't know him. And then, the rooster crows, and one of the Gospels says that. I think Luke says that Jesus, when the rooster crowed a 3rd time, he saw Jesus looking at him.
Yeah.
So
It's crazy.
Man, what a huge failure. But you see later on, obviously Jesus reinstates him, and Peter used that failure as a springboard to go, okay,
Yeah.
I failed, but it's not over.
Yeah.
But like you said, what if he would have regretted
Yeah.
and lived with that regret and go, no, I'm not, I can't do that again, no.
Yeah.
Just think of the regret he would have had the regret he would have had if he wouldn't have says, okay, I'm okay, act number 2.
Yeah.
Click, here we go, let's do it.
Definitely.
But what if he would have said, no, Jesus, you got the wrong, I'm going to go back to fishing.
Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks. You think of the regrets he would have had. What if I would have, took him up what he said about reinstating me? What if, so you're right. I think failure and regret are those two things. We got to go, man, which one would I rather live with? For me, I think I would rather live with the failure.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's even as I try to tell myself that with even this podcast that I'm doing, it's a total risk for me just doing this, and I don't want to. As I was thinking about it and I was developing it, there were moments where I'm just like, oh, what if this doesn't do good? What if this is just a dud, or all these different type of things? And it's so easy for me to kind of just retract, oh, okay, I'd rather not fail then.
Right.
But the more I thought about it, the more planning, and even just setting up interviews and doing it and putting in the work, it's I would rather live with the failure of, if this thing doesn't work out, at least I did everything I can to do it, than rather just the regret, this would have been cool. I wish I would have gone through with it, or it would have been a nice experience to do.
Right.
All these different type of things, and so.
And you gain knowledge from it.
Yeah.
You gave insight. There's so much more to gain when you fail than more than what you lose.
Yeah.
There's so much more to gain. There's more on that positive end than on the negative end. And so you're right. Even though it's hard and fear and emotions and, oh man, what if, I don't. But think about, again, what you gain from just failing. And sometimes failing over and over and over again. Sometimes, you hear stories of all kind of people who failed at this, failed at that, failed at this. Mm-hmm. And then, man, once they found their groove, they use that failure as a springboard to keep them moving forward. Yeah,
and it's not fun at all.
Not at all.
I still don't, I don't think anyone ever enjoys failing.
No.
But, I can't remember a sermon I listened to or saw, and it might have been actually a leaders retreat that we went to, and it was Marty Fruquet, this guy named Marty Fruquet, who said something along the lines of like letting your members or letting your people feel safe to fail, kind of along those lines, in the same way that God makes it feel safe for us to fail,
Right.
which is like,
Yeah.
I know sometimes in if like not a Christian or sometimes society can like really bash people for failing. I mean, you could see a lot of people that have made mistakes with social media, and they'll just bash them. Like the social media will not forget about your failures,
Right.
unfortunately, and they will remind you that you were this, you were that, all these different type of things. But I'm just so grateful that with God, He like makes it safe
Right.
to fail, because He knows we're already imperfect, and that through Jesus He sees us through a different lens.
Right.
That is just like, I mean, I don't get it. I don't know why He does it, but I will take it gladly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
And
just
that's
amazing.
Yeah, and that's one of the things why, to me, you like reading the Bible. I like reading the Bible because you see different people who failed.
Yeah.
Tons of them, and they fail in a lot of different areas of their life. David being one of them. Obviously, I just mentioned Peter. There's others who failed.
Yes.
And what they did. But you're right. God looks at them through a different lens, and it's almost, you get that sense of, when you read it, you go, man, that guy's just like me.
Yeah.
Okay, but what did he do after that? He dusts himself off, and okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And had that sense of, okay, other people may look at me as, oh man, they blew it, this and that, and have their own, perception of you and judgment of you. But the biggest one is, okay, what does God think?
Yeah.
No, God says, okay, son, you failed. It's okay. Okay, let's get up. We'll keep going. And that's that image I always want to try to keep in front of me, is that it's not people.
Yeah.
Because, I'm a fail, and people are going to have their own perception of me when I fail. But it's more about God and how God sees me, how God sees this failure, and what He's going to do through this failure to help me to mature.
Yeah.
And so on. And a lot of times you have stories to tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Your failures, you'll be able to tell others and behind you and so forth. So that's, again, one of the cool things about the Bible. It's, you just got these are not perfect. God didn't write the Bible with all these perfect people who didn't fail, didn't make mistakes. They made tons of different mistakes, and they failed, and they blew it over, and sometimes a few times. But God always believed in them. Always, hey, I'm going to dust you off. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I know for some people, they can have this view of Christianity or like the Bible of like the story of like great people, or like how Christianity is like you have to be perfect and all these things. But if you really just read the Bible, like you're saying, it's full of just messed up people.
Yes,
like just
imperfect people
in every way.
Right.
You look at like almost unspeakable mistakes and failures that they've had.
Right.
But God just uses them and is still using them to His glory, but also just like redeeming them as well. So
Exactly.
it's just incredible
Yeah.
how that is, and
It is. It really is.
even just what we can learn from that, and taking it into sports, and even just staying with sports, you could take that into our walks with God, and
Right.
just so much. And I just love it.
Right.
But Gary, thank you so much for being my guest on this episode.
Yeah, man, I've had a good time, man. Thanks for asking me to do it. It was good doing it with you.
Thank you for doing this with me. Again, this is the Blood, Sweat, and Tears podcast, guys. This is episode 2. Hope you guys really enjoyed this. Tune in for the next episode coming real soon. Thank you.